Shabbat Shalom. Today we read a double portion, Vayekhel Pekudei. And it comes on the heels of what we read last week. And last week we read the painful and destructive story of the building of the golden calf. The construction of the golden calf is preceded by two portions about the building of the Mishkan or the tabernacle. And another two portions of Mishkan construction are sandwiched on top today. The golden calf was a devastating story for many reasons, but none more important than the detailing of the breakdown of relationships, whether that was the Israelites to Moses or to Aaron or to God, the relationship between God and Moses, and the relationship we don't hear a lot about, but we can only assume took a devastating hit, was that of Aaron and Moses. It was an example of collective power and its ability to do harm, a tangible sign of the influence fear can have and how easy it can inspire a populist figure to regress. And this is juxtaposed to the start of our portion today. Our portion begins with a 3-verse digression from the granular detail of the Mishkan's construction. And it details, again, the command for Shabbat. So why do we get that here? We've gotten the command to observe, to remember, and to guard Shabbat several times already in the book of Exodus. And as a reminder, the last command given before the Israelites became consumed by fear, harnessing that fear towards the creation of a new God, they were commanded to observe Shabbat. But we learn, or we see something far more important here than literary symmetry. Last week, we read in chapter 32 that the people gathered against, or rose up, to Aaron and said, "Make us a god." The people gathered together, Vayekhel, kahal, or community, which is the same name for our portion, and it's also our portion's first word. The golden calf has all the people gather against Aaron in Moses' absence, and their feeling of God's absence too. Whereas our reading today begins, "And Moses gathered the whole community of Israel and said unto them," and then he reminds them of the command and the significance in their lives of Shabbat. Furthering the biblical symmetry, following Moses' reminder, we are told that the Israelites were commanded to bring decorations to finish the Mishkan. The passage is dominated by the notion of chokhmah and nadiv lev, a wise or willing heart. Moses is seeking out those whose heart moves them for good. These gifts for the completion and the beautification of God's dwelling place were built not on the backs of hard Israelite labor, but on the willing and generous hearts of every man and woman in the mixed multitude of this emerging nation. Yeshaya Leibowitz points out, in direct contrast to the golden calf, that this term, generous heart, is not a collective noun. To finish the holy and first task as a nation, the tabernacle had to be literally touched by everyone. But their hearts had to move them. That was the first step. Heartfelt giving must guide their feet. It is the na'aseh v'nishma of sacred building. The golden calf was built by the people, but was not followed by the phrase, for the good of community, for the good of God. It was a move divorced from heart, removed from the forward-looking building of community. After all, they gathered against someone and something. Idolatry may come more natural to us. It is easier to pray and to believe in something that we can see, something that we can touch. Moments of connection literally happen with an idol, and inspiration can happen whenever it is desired, whereas belief in an abstract idea can be nebulous, and those moments of inspiration can be fleeting. But therein lies the rub. Community and Shabbat may be hard to come by when we're not willing to be moved by our hearts, when we are unwilling to believe in things unseen. Embracing a day apart, an island of rest in a sea of work and stress, that's easy. that might literally be a Shabbat, a day of rest, true Shabbat works in concert with kahal, with the gathering of people, a community of people whose heart moves them in order to come together, constructing something bigger and existing within a dwelling of divinity. Shabbat asks us to recall that other great act of construction in the Torah, which is creation. Unlike here with the tabernacle, that was dealt with in just half a portion. The golden calf broke down community. It broke down faith, not by questioning it, but by blocking it out, removing heart from peoplehood. We are told about Shabbat before and after this ugly episode. Yet our portion concludes the book with an essential gloss, and that's the word heart, lev. To embrace the fullness of God's creation and its enduring gift, Shabbat, we must be willing to engage with it together, allow ourselves to gather together, and be willing to embrace the mitzvah of having a willing heart. And when we do this, just like creation, we can look upon what we've created and say, it was good. Shabbat Shalom.